Hi, welcome. This is David. Thank you for your time. So let's begin sharing. This topic is titled Creating versus the Self-Image. Every system of thought must have a starting point. It begins with either a making or a creating, a difference we have already discussed. Now, just in case just to remind us, creating comes from love, it's from reality. Making is from fear, it's from the illusion of separation, okay? So, their resemblance lies in their power as foundations. Their difference lies in what rests upon them. Both are cornerstones for systems of belief by which one lives. It is a mistake to believe that a thought system based on lies is weak. It is a mistake to believe that a thought system based on lies is weak. That's very important. Nothing made by a child of God is without power. It is essential to realize this because otherwise you'll be unable to escape from the prison you have made. Now look, if we go back to this sentence, every system of thought must have a starting point. It begins with either a making or a creating, a difference we have already discussed. Their resemblance lies in their power as foundation. So we've already seen that. Making and creating are similar because they are powerful. Because they come from the child of the Creator. That is where their resemblance is. Their difference lies in what rests upon them. So one is reality, one is illusion. That's the difference. However, it is a mistake to believe that a thought system based on lies, or even call it illusion, is weak. Nothing made by a child of God is without power. It is essential to realize this because otherwise you'll be unable to escape from the prison you have made. How cool is that? They remind us that the prisons are our own making. No one else put us there. So you cannot resolve the authority problem by depreciating the power of your mind. To do so is to deceive yourself, and this will hurt you because you really understand the strength of the mind. So you can't just go what is it saying? You can't just say, well, these thoughts don't matter, these little illusions and everything don't matter, because they do matter because you made them and you believe them, and therefore they are powerful. Yeah. Okay, so you realize that you cannot weaken it any more than you can weaken the Creator. The devil is a frightening concept because he seems to be extremely powerful and extremely active. He is perceived as a force in combat with the Creator, battling him for possession of his creations. The devil deceives by lies and builds kingdoms in which everything is in direct opposition to God. Yet he attracts men rather than repels them, and they are willing to sell him their souls in return for gifts of no real worth. This makes absolutely no sense. Basically, the cause is saying, forget this whole idea of the devil, okay, that is fighting with the Creator, in combat, and then deceived by lies, builds kingdoms that are in direct opposition to the Creator, and then for some mysterious reason he's very attractive to men, and instead of repelling them, he actually somehow is so attractive that they're willing to sell him their souls in return for gifts of no real worth. This makes absolutely no sense. That's what the cause says. We have discussed the fall or separation before, but its meaning must be clearly understood. The separation is a system of thought, real enough in time. Real. enough in time, though not real in eternity. All beliefs are real to the believer. The fruit of only one tree was forbidden in the symbolic garden, but God could not have forbidden it, or it could not have been eaten. In other words, if God could really have forbidden the eating of such a fruit, his will is not one that is contradicted. If it was forbidden to be eaten, it could not have been eaten. They're trying to establish the power of the will of the Creator, which is also the power of your will. If it was forbidden, it could not have been eaten. Okay? If God knows his children, and I assure you that he does, would he have put them in a position where their own destruction was possible? Because he knew you're going to eat that apple. So would he have put you in a position where your own destruction was possible? The forbidden tree, in quotes, was named the tree of knowledge, in quotes. Yet God created knowledge and gave it freely to his creations. The symbolism here has been given many interpretations, but you may be sure that any interpretation that sees either God or his creations as capable of destroying their own purpose is in error. Eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge is a symbolic expression for usurping the ability for self-creating. This is the only sense in which the Creator and his creations are not co-creators. Okay? We're talking now here about you creating a impoverished self-image and identifying with that image and saying that you are that ego, the impoverished self-image, the ego. You identify with it. You have made yourself and then said that is me, and the real me is not me, but this fake me is me. The authorship problem. This is the only sense in which the Creator and his creations are not co-creators. The belief that they are is implicit in the self-concept, or the tendency of the self to make an image of itself. Images are perceived, not known. Knowledge cannot deceive, but perception can. You can perceive yourself as self-creating, but you cannot do more than believe it. You cannot make it true. You can perceive it, you can believe it, you can live a whole life where that perception is maintained and keeps changing. But that's all you can do. You cannot make it true. Images are perceived, not known. Self-concept, the tendency of the self to make an image of itself. Images are perceived, not known. Knowledge cannot deceive, but perception can. But you cannot ever make it true. So this is a question again. I just put the note there so I remember to ask you. The existence of a self, a you and me, however persistent, is an illusion, just like the earth is flat, is an illusion. What I wanted here when I was putting together these slides is to discuss this with you. We now know that the earth is not flat, but for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years, we thought the earth was flat because it looks flat, doesn't it? But then a day comes when you have the tools necessary to go as far as you want and then end up coming back to the same place you started, and then you go, oh, the earth is flat, it's round, it's a ball. Or you have the tools to go high enough to see the curvature properly and realize it's not a place where the earth drops off. The horizon is not a drop-off point whereby you fall off the face of the earth once you pass the horizon, but the horizon is a illusion, like a mirage, and it just keeps going on and on and on. So it's a persistent illusion. The earth is flat, but we now know it's not, but we didn't always know this. If you read history, I think, if I'm not wrong, it was around about at least Western history. Every region has its own history. You'll find some other places where 3,000 years ago they knew the earth was round. But Western history I think it is something that was well, I think it's something that in the last if I'm not wrong, is it 1200 or 1500 AD when people now really generally started understanding that it's round? I think it was around 1500 AD where it became a general idea, not for a couple of scientists, but a general idea that the Earth is round and not flat. I think it was later than 1500 AD. I can't remember. Anyways, so in the same way, the existence of a self, as in a separate self, a you and a me, however persistent, is an illusion. So I just wanted to point this out and even ask you a question. Do you think that it's possible that a self, a you and me separate, can be a persistent illusion, just like the Earth is flat, or the sun goes around the Earth? You remember, for a long time we thought the sun goes around the Earth, but now with science we know the Earth goes around the sun. Persistent illusions exist. Could the ultimate persistent illusion be the idea of a separated self? And, as I said before, when you finally perceive correctly, you can only be glad that you cannot self-create. Until then, however, the belief that you can't self-create is the foundation stone in your thought system. In other words, your whole thought system is based on the perception that you have a self. And this perception is incorrect. Nevertheless, it is the foundation. The idea, the belief that you have a separate self, in other words, which is the same belief that you can self-create. The idea that I and you and John and Jane and the Maasai guy and the rocket ship and the dog and everything are separate selves. This idea is the cornerstone, the foundation in our entire thought system. And all our defenses are used to attack ideas that might bring to light that this thing is false. Do you see what it's saying? In other words, it's saying that you've gotten yourself into a position whereby, number one, you've believed you can self-create. Already incorrect. An incorrect perception. And then you've created the entire belief or thought system based on this incorrect perception. And then you've gone ahead and used all the defenses possible to attack any idea that might shed some light on these false premises. In other words, your ego is fighting to be undiscovered for what it really is. Okay? And the minute, the first sentence here says, when you finally perceive correctly, when you finally realize you cannot self-create except as an illusion, you will be glad you did, that you cannot. You'll be so glad that you cannot self-create. And, yeah. So let's read on. You still believe you're an image of your own making. Yeah. I call myself David, and I still believe, I hold, even though I know a lot of this material, but unconsciously, most of the day, even though I'm aware of it, but I almost, you understand what I'm saying here? It's kind of like I'm so deep into it, we're so deep into it that we still run around thinking of, oh, me, David, and I have to do this, and that guy, did me wrong or whatever. You see? So you still believe you're an image of your own making. Your mind is split with the Holy Spirit at this point, and there is no resolution while you believe the one thing that is literally inconceivable. Okay? That is why you cannot create and are filled with fear about what you make. So you cannot create because you've already separated yourself and you're in an elusive, you're living in an illusion. So you cannot create. You can only make further illusions. And then you're filled with fear about what you make. So just read through this paragraph again by yourself. It's very loaded with a lot of meaning, and it would be nice for you to get your own interpretation. The mind can make the belief in separation very real and very fearful. And this belief is the devil. So the devil is not that separate thing we talked about that runs around fighting God and everything. But the belief in separation is the devil, because it is very fearful. It is powerful, active, and we're talking about this belief in separation. The belief in separation is powerful, active, destructive, and clearly in opposition to the Creator, because it literally denies His fatherhood, His authorship. You see what I'm saying? He created you. He did not create your self-image. You did that. You created your self-image. He created you. So you went ahead and created your self-image and forgot how He created you. Look at your life and see what the devil has made. And by the devil here, we're talking about the belief in separation. Look at your life and see what the devil has made. But realize that this making will surely dissolve in the light of the truth, because its foundation is a lie. Your creation by the Creator is the only foundation that cannot be shaken, because the light is in it. Your starting point is truth, and you must return to your beginning. Death and the fear of death. Much has been said since then, but nothing has really happened. Okay, yourself is still since then. They're talking about the original, your truth. Remember the last sentence in the last slide was you are created in truth and you must return to your beginning. So now it's saying, since you left truth, since the fall or the separation in quotes, much has been said since then, but nothing has really happened. Yourself, in capital S, your true self, is still in peace, even though your mind is in conflict. You have not yet gone back far enough, and that is why you become so fearful. As you approach the beginning, you feel the fear of the destruction of your thought system upon you, as if it were the fear of death. There is no death, but there is a belief in death. It's saying that the death that we call death, the physical death, is really just another change of form, one form to another. There is no real death, but there is a belief in death. Now, the fear of death, what they're saying is this: as you approach the beginning, you feel the fear of the destruction of your false thought system. Remember, we said the cornerstone of that false thought system is the belief in separation. So you can feel it coming, because the minute you go to the beginning and the light shines, all of it will go. And this is what you experience, like the fear of death. Okay? But it's not the same death as that doesn't mean that when you die, you'll see the light. This is completely different. Even when you physically die, your mind is still in separation. So physical death has nothing to do with this release. You can't just go commit suicide and you find atonement. The mind is the same. It's physical death doesn't change the mind. You see? Death and the fear of death. The branch that bears no fruit will be cut off and will wither away. Be glad, the light will shine from the true foundation of life, and your own thought system will stand corrected. It cannot stand otherwise. You who fear salvation are choosing death. Life and death, light and darkness, knowledge and perception are irreconcilable. You cannot reconcile them. Okay? They are not. They can never be reconciled. To believe that they can be reconciled is to believe that the Creator and His Son can not be reconciled. Okay? Only the oneness of knowledge is free of conflict. Your kingdom is not of this world because it was given you from beyond this world. Okay? Your kingdom was given to you beyond this world. Remember, this world, illusion of separation. Beyond it, reality. That is where your kingdom is. It is not in this world. It is not in the world of illusion. Only in this world is the idea of an authority problem meaningful. The world is not left by death, but by truth. In other words, you're dying does not mean you've left this world. And by the way, this world, they're not talking about planet Earth only, they're talking about the world of illusions, which planet Earth is within. Okay? Or at least the planet Earth that we know. The one that we've been living in, polluting, dealing with global warming and, and all that sort of stuff. That is within the realm of illusion. And you don't leave it by dying, at least physical death. You don't leave it like that. You leave it by truth. Okay? Only with the illumination of truth do you leave this world. Without that, whether you die physically or not, you're still in it. The mind stays, okay? And becomes something else, and makes something else after, and makes something else after, and makes something else after, all within the illusion. Only by waking up that mind do you leave the world of illusion. And truth can be known by all those for whom the kingdom was created. In other words, and for whom it awaits. In other words, everybody can know truth. It is not, no one will be punished and said, oh, you did this in the world of illusion, so you will never be accepted into the world of truth and you will always live in hell. It doesn't work that way. It's open for everybody. So I hope, I was quite liberal in my interpretations, but I hope it did help you with this topic. And you can always read the original below and, have a go at your own interpretation. But I'm always glad when you come and we share. Thank you so much. So now I'll see you in the next chapter.